Welcome to CivilNet. My guests today are Zareh Sinanyan, the High Commissioner of Diaspora Affairs of Armenia, and also Mեղրիկ Այիթյանը from Austria and Sahak Mehregyan from Canada. Mեղրիկ and Sahak are fellows of the iGorծ program designed by the Diaspora Commissioner's Office. The program invites diaspora Armenians professionals to work in Armenia and in Armenia's government institutions for 1 year. So welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Mr. Zareh Sinanyan, there are currently 24 Armenian professionals from various fields. They come from across the world and they came to work in Armenia, as I said. Why did you and your staff decided to design this program? Is there a lack of experts maybe in Armenia?
The program serves a dual purpose, and the first purpose is to increase the cooperation and integration between Armenia and diaspora. So the involvement of diasporan professionals in the governance of the country of Armenia is an important way to better connect individuals with the homeland. So that's a purpose in of itself. And the second is, of course, using the potential of the diaspora for the betterment of the governance in Armenia. The question that's being posed, whether there aren't people here, there are people. I mean, we have what we have, and we have very talented people, and then we clearly have a shortage of those kinds of people, and that's reflected in the quality of governance that Armenia has had for the last 30 years, and it's going to be reflected, I think, for a while. So involving talent and involving professionals from the diaspora is a way of shortcutting and improving the governance in Armenia without waiting for an entire generation to pass, when new educational reforms will result in highly educated, highly trained professionals for the next generation.
So you gathered Armenians, as I said, from the diaspora here in Armenia, and there are currently 24 of them, and you just talked about the fact that you want it to be, they will bring some improvements, but what added value do they have, those that you selected, that your office selected? What kind of added value do they have for Armenia?
So the first 24 are only the first part of a group of 100 that are going to join the government in the next couple of months. The reason we're doing it in groups is because of COVID. We were having difficulty actually physically getting people here, but of course that's just a matter of time now that the flights have opened up. The added value is really great, because what you get for Armenia is not only the professional skills, which I already talked about, but also a way of doing things, a new culture of work, a way of approaching things. Being more goal-oriented. I mean, we have an awesome culture in Armenia, but obviously our culture is particular and also a result of hundreds of years of being subservient to other nations, and also the Soviet governmental system, which life has proven was not the most efficient one. So that's what experts from the outside are going to bring to Armenia. And I want to mention one more fact, that we didn't select these people. Each individual ministry, each individual department and agency actually interviewed the candidates, and that's how the selection process took place. What we did initially was merely filter the applications, because there were many. There were over 800 applications submitted, so we had to filter them down, and then the individual ministries actually selected their own fellows.
So 800 people who've been applying for the program, that means that Armenians from the diaspora are really willing to come to Armenia in some way. According to you, and because you are ruling the High Commissioner Office of the Diaspora Affairs, according to you, what is motivating those people to come to Armenia? What has changed?
I think they can give the best answer to that question, but motivations are different for different people. For many of them, it's the enthusiasm to work for Armenia's government, the enthusiasm to have an impact, especially given the revolution and sort of the new vector that Armenia has taken, the new mentality that we're trying to instill in Armenia. For others, it's an opportunity to hone their professional skills. But for most people, I think the unifying factor is having their input in their homeland and making a difference.
So I'm going to ask you this question actually. Mehrik, you're from Austria, and I wanted to ask you, is it your first trip to Armenia? I mean, in the sense of professionally speaking. Is it your first time, and what motivated you in this case to come and to commit yourself to this job in Armenia?
This is my first time as an expert. I'm in Armenia, and what is the motivation behind has a long story, because back then when I was working in Austria, I always used to think, what could I do to do the same job in Armenia to make the field, to prosper the field, because everything is becoming data-driven in the world. So it's very important for countries to be data-centric. And as an expert, as I said, it was always my concern how to find the opportunity as an expert to go to Armenia and invest my time there to make the country more, let's say, to make a change in the country. And iGorծ was the answer, so I applied for the program, and luckily I am here.
So Sahak, you are from Canada, and you have been working in the development fields in organizations, various organizations. So you have an insight, I think, of what needs Armenia to develop more. Can you tell us what you noticed so far from Armenia, from your first week as a professional here?
This is something very interesting, actually, and there's a lot of change that I noticed from a previous interaction in Armenia before. I see a lot of interest from young generation who are willing to contribute, and that's a good sign. Maybe the small change that we can introduce by coming here is in terms of processes or best practices or international practices, but the willingness and the vigor I can see a lot right now.
And honestly speaking, and this is a question for both of you, what are the weaknesses you see? I know that it's been just a week, as I said, and it's maybe too early to talk about this, but I guess you noticed things that differs from your respective countries. And what are the differences according to you, and what should be changed? I don't know who wants to.
Okay, maybe I go ahead. It's really very early to give a feedback, but my first impression was the number of experts in the data field, the number of experts working to at least build the data infrastructure in the country. So if you go to the Western countries, they have really big teams of experts working on small projects, or sometimes also very big projects, to make everything data-centric, from tourism to governing system, everything. So the team, the number of experts working on those projects are the number is very big. So here in Armenia we are still not there. But I hope we will get there very soon. So more people, more experts will work on such projects to make at least the data infrastructure very strong in the country.
So if I'm not mistaken, you're working for the high-tech industry,
Yes.
Government ministry. And we know that Nikol Pashinyan actually really stressed the fact that he wanted to develop communication information in Armenia. What project are you working on in order to fulfill this goal?
Currently, we are studying where to start from to strengthen the digital infrastructure, because data is everywhere. There are lots of data, at least in the government. But we need a system, we need an infrastructure upon which we could make sense of those data, because if you don't have that, the infrastructure, it's quite. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy to extract information from those data. We are doing this. We are trying to understand where to start from to make a strong infrastructure.
And Sahak, you are working more in development and infrastructure. What do you think you will be working on during this whole year?
Actually, I'm involved in quite a lot of interesting projects personally as well. I have been in management consultancy for most of my career, and strategy line and business processes, and I feel that it's a great opportunity to be involved in the strategic line of the government side, working with the office of the Prime Minister. And there is this intention to harmonize. See, every ministry has a certain vector, has a certain direction. But my opportunity and my contribution, hopefully, is to unite and give a direction to all these different vectors into one general long-term one. If I can succeed, that would be fantastic.
And Mr. Sinanyan, I know that you are waiting for another group of Armenians from the diaspora to come and join the whole program. But besides the fact that you need some professionals to work in government institutions, is there also a wish to see people from the diaspora come and settle down in Armenia for good?
Well, of course, there is such a wish. There is a strategic plan to increase Armenia's population over the next several decades, and the repatriation, sort of migration component of it is a very important part. I wouldn't say that this program is necessarily a repatriation program. This is, I think, much bigger than that. What this is not only using sort of the know-how and the education that our compatriots have received outside of Armenia, but also, more importantly, making it be known that the Armenian government is an open place where everyone can have an impact. So if you have a good education, if you have the willingness to come and work for the Armenian government, you can do so. And I think that's psychologically, it's very important for the diaspora to know this, because this hasn't been the case in a very long time. We haven't had any significant diaspora involvement in the Armenian governance system, and that needs to be rectified. So this is in the public sector. Private sector kind of dictates its own terms, but this will send a very clear signal to the diaspora that the Armenian statehood is everyone's responsibility, and it's also everyone's privilege to come and work here. And once that we establish that culture, I believe a lot more folks will be willing to take some time off from their professional lives and come and make their impact in the future of Armenia.
At the end of the whole year program, what do you expect?
Well, we expect several things. One is obviously having some impact on the governance, so each individual will hopefully do their part to improve the way we do things in the government. We also expect that probably some of the professionals will choose to stay in Armenia. I think that'll be sort of answering your previous question about repatriation. I also expect for us to work out the kinks of the program, perfect it for the next year, because we intend to perpetually continue iGorծ in the future and improve it based on the experiences that we've had this year.
And this is a question for both of you. What do you expect after this year of program?
I'm trying not to keep my expectations too high, but at the same time I want to see results coming out of this. 1 year it might be a short period of time to, but then again, like I said, if there is synergy in the team and everyone is pushing each other, I think, and considering the present situation, we don't have much of a choice not to accomplish much. We should do as much as we can. I do expect 2 or 3 major projects to be done within a year's time. And if we succeed, then probably we'll have the opportunity to lengthen this opportunity. That's something for Mr. Sinanyan to say, but that's it.
And you, Mehrik?
Yeah, again, no high expectations, because I'm considering iGorծ as a first step to start to make something new in the government. First step, a step to the repatriation. So it's really first step. It's a very like a baby. You need to start with. 1 year is actually very long. It's not a long time to set high expectations. So let's see, because really, if you start to do something new in the government, at least this is something that can be a first step to further new steps.
Okay, thank you all of you for this talk. Thank you for watching and continue to follow CivilNet.